Hello folks and welcome back to Relaxing Woodshop. My name is David.
My name's Christopher.
And on this week's episode we are going to do a Game of Thrones goblet. Now the reason for that is most people might not know, Christopher was an extra in the Game of Thrones.
I was, yes. Got to meet the mountain. Obviously taller.
Yes, you are taller than him, that's right. Yes, he's 6'8". 6'8", yeah. So as, of course, why would I not be? I'd be in the mountain and you can be Tyrion.
Always the same, like, guys, isn't it? It's always the same.
What?
So here we go, guys. We're back at the ingredients table for this week. We're going to be using spalted beech. If you can see here, there's a bit of it's a fungus growing through the wood actually, but it gives a lovely marble effect. Then I'm going to be using wax and lacquering on it. Throughout the whole process though, we'll be using a lot of sandpaper just to get it nice and smooth and give it a lovely finish. This is actually the second time we've used the lathe on the show as well, so let's get turning.
Okay guys, so Christopher has passed over the wood. He's picked a beautiful piece of wood, that really is. It does give a lovely grain, and you'll see that when we start turning it and getting the texture to come through in the wood. So what we need to do with this fantastic wee gauge that we got in one of the shops, Temple Patrick Woodshed, is just to mark down on each side, and that will give us the centre of the wood. Now you do it all four. The reason you do it all four is there's always ever so slight inconsistencies with wood. So you're always better getting all four angles done. That's probably the fifth time. But at least it'll give you a mark. And it's again the same on the other side. You'll also notice there's a wee bit of discoloration at the edges of this wood. Reason being, a lot of these companies, when they do the wood, they actually put a wee bit of wax, hard wax, at the end of each side of it. And that stops moisture from getting into the wood while it's settling, so it's a very, very good idea. So there you go. So there's that mark perfectly in the centre on both sides, and we're going to get that now onto the lathe. Right, now, since this goblet needs to be fit for a king or queen, we want to put a bit of a wee design in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole through two sides of the wood. Now, you're probably wondering why we're going to do that, but it'll become clear a wee bit later on. So first of all, get the small square. Run our line on the two, and that now gives us two lines. Then what we need to do is get the width of it, which I've kind of pre-done this, which is 65.5. So the half of 65.5 is 32.75, and you'll probably notice I have a calculator beside me because I'm useless with maths. So then we'll go to 32.75, or as close to. There we go. And then we'll get that measurement here. And then we'll do the same on the other side. Sorry for the bang. And that's us centre line for going on to the drill press. Okay guys, so we're on the drill press. So what we're going to do, we'll drill the hole straight through. Don't worry about blowing the end on the other side ever so slightly out, because we're going to be putting it onto the lathe and putting it in this cylindrical shape. So we'll get the hole drilled first. Right guys, so now that we've got that drilled out, you can see the wee holes are there. And let me move the wee stock down for you out of the way, so you can see that the holes are there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the tiny wee boring bit, which will turn it into a cylinder. So the stock's in at this side, tighten down. We'll get it going at about 500-600 revs, and we'll get the put into the cylinder, and then the fun bit begins. Okay guys, the boring bit in the terms of wood turning is finished. We've gotten it into the cylinder. What I now need to do is put a couple of pencil marks to show where I'm going to do the goblet itself. Now, we can turn it on here. It's not too noisy. It's only when you actually start putting the chisels to it. So what we want to do is we want to lock this bit off. That's going to go in the vise that you're going to see in a wee second. And then we'll bring it to here, as that's where the base of the goblet will start. We're going to do a nice shape round here, 3/4 of the way up to about there. And that should be long enough then for the goblet part of the drinking part. So we'll get back on to turning again. So here we go, it's really starting to look very nice now. So what we're going to do is we're going to sand it. We're going to do 180, 240, 320, 400, 600, 800 and then up to the 1000. Because if you're going to be holding this in your hand, you want it to be nice and glass-like in terms of the feel. So let's get down to the sanding. Okay guys, we're really getting the shape, and as you can see it's very, very smooth there now as well, so it's easy to be held in your hand when you're having a drink. What we now need to do is scoop the inside out, where we can then obviously put the drink in. So what I'm going to do is we're going to disconnect it from here, which frees up the wood. We'll remove this stock here, and then we're going to replace that with the chuck, and then make sure it's nice and tight. Never over tighten them, they're not designed to be over tightened, they're there for hand tightening. And then comes back in, and then we'll open up the chuck. And that fits perfectly inside. So we'll lock that up, and that will now free us up to scoop out the inside. Okay guys, as a wee cheat, we're going to use one of the bits to scoop out all the wastage on the inside there, and then we'll get onto a chisel, a bowl chisel actually, and then we'll just scoop that wee inner bit out there, and then we'll get on to the lacquering. Okay guys, now that's the parting part of the, sorry, you probably hear me better like that. Now it's the parting part. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the parting tool, place it in here, and get the revs just to around about 500 to 600, and make sure this is on, because if it comes off accidentally before it gets through, that could break a tooth. So make sure you wear the gear. So we're just putting on the wax first. Now this is the bit where it does look a wee bit dirty, but once we get the machine back on and start spinning, we can then basically sand this down into the grain again. So this is just a matter of doing the buffing exercise now. So once in a wee second, we'll get on to then the machine back spinning.
So dat is jij, aan de pijlen gaan we, woo,
Relaxing Wood Shop. As you can see, the chalice has turned out quite nicely. I think Tyrion would be proud to drink from that. Just like to give a big shout out to everyone who's liked and subscribed to our channel. And just want to say keep it coming, guys. I'm going to see you next week on the Relaxing Wood Shop.
Yes, guys, take care and look forward to seeing you next week.
Well, that's an improvement.